And then my second audition was for Game of Thrones, and then I got the part.
Maisie Williams, who is a huge star. She's Arya Stark from Game of Thrones. I don't even need to tell you what Game of Thrones is. Do you remember the point in your life where you thought, this Game of Thrones is going to be massive?
I remember getting out of the car with my mum, and there was just like crowds and crowds of people behind barriers, and they were all screaming, and they all like knew who I was, and it was that moment that I was like, oh, this is pretty big.
Is that suffocating sometimes?
You live this life where people are just managing you, and it's like amazing, but it's like if you make that your reality constantly, it's a strange world. Like I signed a 6-year contract when I was 12.
That is surreal, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know, like at the beginning I would have paid them for me to be in it. Like I was so excited.
So you didn't feel like you missed any of your childhood like some people who are successful young?
I do, but I'm not furious at the world because I wasn't allowed to be a child. It wasn't bad. I had a great time. It's just I am a different person to the girl that I would have been.
Well, Maisie, thanks for doing the interview, the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
That's all right. Do you remember the point in your life where you thought, this Game of Thrones is going to be massive and I'm a part of it?
Yeah, actually. It was season 3, and it was the first year that we did like a premiere for the show. And I'd been recognised before, and like I'd seen pictures of like Comic-Con, you know. But it was my first like experience of that world. And so we were in LA in the Chinese theatre, which is where the Oscars are held. So it was like quite amazing that we were there anyway. And then I remember getting out of the car with my mum, and there was just like crowds and crowds of people behind barriers, and they were all screaming, and they all like knew who I was. And it was that moment that I was like, oh, this is pretty big.
Yeah. And how did you feel about that?
Terrified.
Really?
Yeah. That sort of thing is quite terrifying. I think if you start to think about it too much, you can really just drive yourself a bit crazy. So, because up until that point, I'd kind of been quite separate from it. Like the show were very good at making sure that we were quite protected, because it is a minefield out there. So, yeah, it was my first time that I'd really sort of been exposed to it, and I'd been so excited, and then all of a sudden it was just like a real moment of like the responsibility that comes with that, I think. And I was only like 15 or something, but yeah, it was a real moment where I looked at my mum like, wow, my life is never going to be the same again.
And what is that responsibility that you felt?
Just not to ruin this amazing opportunity that I've been given.
Funny that, isn't it? You're in this amazing position, and yet the default thought is,
don't ruin
mess
it.
this up.
Yeah. I've always just felt so incredibly lucky to get to where I am, and like I owe it to myself and also like where I came from to just really like make the most of this and do right with the voice that I've given and the platform that I have, and like the things that I stand for. I'm in the position where I can really change that, and I think, it was just when it sort of hit home to me.
Yeah. Does that put pressure on you? It sounds like that could put pressure on you.
Yeah, I mean, within reason. Like, I really tried to keep it in check, because otherwise you can... Like, I remember, like, one of the hair ladies on Game of Thrones, like, I was talking to her, like, really deeply about, like, you know, fame in the world, and she was like, you can have fun as well, Maze, like... And then, so I think I do have to really just find the balance between, like, enjoying myself, but also, like, making sure that I'm, I don't know, being well behaved.
And what is that balance?
Going to see my family a lot and like remaining grounded, seeing my friends and like taking time off. Taking time off is so important, and it's really exciting when you're a new face in this industry and there's new things going on and people want you to be in their movies, but I think like you have to live a normal life, and you can't make that your reality forever, because you will just go crazy. Just finding that balance between a normal life and like the crazy industry.
Yeah. And when you say the crazy industry, forgive some of these questions, because most listeners will just have no concept of what your life is.
Right.
No concept whatsoever. So
I
feel like it's my job to try and find out what that's like.
Yeah.
So, you know, this crazy life, this crazy world, you know, that world of celebrity and fame and being recognised everywhere. What is crazy about it? Because I think that's a lot of people's dream, but you know the reality.
I think Like, I just sort of see myself as quite a regular person. So like when you are informed every day of like there's a car that comes and picks you up and it takes you to the airport, and then there's a person that greets you there and they take you to check your bag in and they help you with that, and then they take you to the airplane, and then you get in your seat and then you sit there and someone brings you food, and then you live this life where people are just managing you and you make no decisions for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like amazing, and these cars are beautiful, and like it's exciting. Of course, I don't want to like make it all doom and gloom because it is lovely.
Yeah.
But it's like if you make that your reality constantly, when you are left like an afternoon alone in London, you're like, I don't know how to live a life because no one's being like, oh, it's your pick up for this now, and now it's time to eat lunch, and or you can't go to the bathroom yet, and you know, like it's a strange world. Of course, like very exciting, but I just think within moderation.
Is that suffocating sometimes?
Well, not if you keep it within moderation. I think it could get very suffocating. I do think of myself as quite independent. So, you know, that can just get a bit much sometimes when you're working on something for like 6 months, and every day someone tells you when then you've got to get up in the morning and you do your hair and makeup, and they tell you when you can have your lunch, and then take you back home again, and then you go to the same restaurant every night, and you know, it can just get a little bit much. Like, it's nice to have your independence and be able to just be like, I'm going to go to France tomorrow and go on holiday.
And is that, do you think... Sorry, I moved my phone because I realise I'm cooking it here. It's like 50 degrees,
it's
isn't it?
It's very hot out
and all
here.
The steel is just like...
Give me a nice tan.
So I would love to get a sense of how you manage your time. Because I think when things go well for people, you know, you can feel like you need to cash in, you need to take all the opportunities you've got. Soon enough, your diary is so full. But you sound like you get the balance of, you know, when you're on set and doing it, you're all in, but then, you know, you take some time away as well. So is that a conscious thing of you to push some opportunities back? Because I bet you could book your diary out for the rest of your life if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think I could. And I think only because I've done that before, and I just don't...
Overdone it, you mean?
Yeah, like I've like worked solidly for like 2 years at a time, and like just gone from one job to the next, to the next, to the next. And I just like, it's not good for me. I don't know, I can't do that. It makes me sad a little bit, if I'm being honest. And it might sound ungrateful, and I don't mean to be, it's just honest. I just, you know, I need to have a break sometimes. And what's been really nice about starting Daisie is like I've achieved all of this with my career, and now I'm like so excited about having a 9-to-5 job in an office. It's actually really lovely, and I think having just the balance between those two is really important. Just what I learned from myself. Like, you know, it's very exciting being offered all of these roles, but if you're jeopardizing like how you feel to like keep going and keep working, you know, I just don't think it's worth it. And I am in the position now where I can pick and choose, and I choose to spend some of my time seeing my family and, you know, just living a normal life. I feel like I'm just keep repeating myself. I'm really sorry.
No, you're not. You're definitely. I mean, I'll try and ask you some questions maybe you haven't been asked before. You're not repeating yourself.
Okay.
To me, no, you're absolutely fine.
Good.
I'm also conscious. I don't want to ask you a load of questions you've been asked a million times.
No, actually, it's quite nice to go into detail about this, because I think people just sort of like ask about it and then like don't ever really listen to the answers. So it's quite nice that you're really trying to find the truth.
Yeah. And I think people in your position, let's say the word successful, very successful, you have certain causes which you stand up for, and I'm sure you'll talk about some of them, but being able to actually say to people what it's like to be overworked, what it's like to be in the limelight, that's not often really shared, is it?
Yeah, I'm going to challenge what you said there, because I think that...
That's all right, we'll edit it out, so you can say, no, go on, you go.
I think that success... I judge your success on your happiness. My sister doesn't have a career. She works, but she also looks after 2 children, and I would say that she's incredibly successful. Yeah. And I think that is based upon like how you're doing within yourself. That's what makes you successful. So, you know, doing less acting roles, wouldn't be like being less successful because actually it makes me happier. You know, I think that's what's most important. Because I have many friends within this industry, but I also don't, and I never see myself as being more successful because I am. I think that that's just completely false.
Yeah. Okay, I accept that you challenged me, and I also accept that. Did you make an actual kill list?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. Like I had these 2 maths teachers at school, right? And I loved maths until I had these 2 teachers, and they were on it.
We are in disruptive financial times. Interest rates going up, the banking system, the government, taxation. So I've created my digital financial freedom toolkit, a toolkit to help you save money in the right areas and scale and make money in the right areas. In the description and the comments below, you can find a link. Go get it for free.
Let me throw one back at you.
Yeah.
So imagine your life down a different route.
Yeah.
Where you didn't turn up for that casting and you didn't get your big role.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd have been as happy as you are and who you are and where you are? Do you think your life would have been very different?
I mean, my life would have been completely different. I think I'd probably still be living in London, but I'd be like a struggling dancer that's working like paycheck to paycheck.
And would that make you happier than you are now?
I mean, if I had a loving family, which I still would, yeah, I wouldn't make me happier or less happy. I think. Yeah, I think
it's not a loaded question. I'm just.
I don't think that the perks of what come with the job that I have now make me any happier than if they weren't. They didn't come with the job that I have now. I think I'm happy because I enjoy what I'm doing, and I have an amazing family and great friends.
Cool. One of the questions I wanted to ask you towards the end, but I'm going to ask you now because it's kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'll ask you first, and then if I've got time, I'll chuck my 2 pence in. Now that you have more money than, let's assume, your other path where you may have been a struggling dancer, does the money bring extra happiness and contentment and security? Or do you just say it's irrelevant?
I think it definitely brings more security for me and my family, and for everyone. I try to share that as much as possible. I like to be able to do nice things, but I think that they're not worth anything if you're doing them on your own. I think experiences are about shared experiences, so anytime that I can really include people, I think that that's so important. Yeah. But happiness, no. I don't think that it makes you more happy. I think the things that you get to do make me happy, but if I couldn't do them, I wouldn't be less happy. Like, I just think it's amazing to be able to provide for my family and for my mother the way that she provided for me for so long. But that doesn't make her love me anymore, or doesn't make me any happier. It's just something amazing that comes with, giving up everything when I was 12 and working for the last nearly decade of my life, and forfeiting lots of friendships and lots of opportunities at being, a teenager. And what comes with that is this paycheck, which is phenomenal, and but I don't think that makes you any happier.
Okay.
It's just what comes with it.
Yeah. Okay. So, as a creative person, that's my words, you might choose to use different words, whether it's your dance, your acting, your business, Daisie, which we'll talk about. What in that process makes you feel fulfilled? Is it the process of being able to do it? Is it the achievement of hitting a level or a show? Or you just talk about that.
I think it's different in everything.
I don't know what that means, by the way. I'm doing this. It's like,
I think what I love about it the most, and what drew me to performing and creating, I guess. I'm the youngest of 4, and growing up and going to school, I was just always a show. I just love to perform, and I love to make people laugh, and even if that was at the expense of my, I don't know, my dignity. I just wanted to make people laugh. I wanted to make people happy with performing, and I was in school plays, and I used to go to dance classes, and I loved the performances of that. And something about being on the stage and being watched and what I was doing that would bring people happiness that I've just always really enjoyed. So, you know, it's very different in film because you don't have an audience that are watching you and like clapping along. Like, it's not like that. But I guess, you know, when it comes out and the fans are so excited for it and just knowing that it's going to be enjoyed by people, that's what I love about performing and creating. And so with Daisie, you know, that's kind of different again because it is a very different sort of job. But in order, my sort of role in it is to do sort of talks and interviews like we're doing right now. And so, you know, to be able to get my point across this is sort of just where my strengths lie, I guess.
Yeah.
I just don't shut up.
No, that's all right. that suits a podcast quite nicely. So tell us about Daisie then, because one thing I wanted to not do, and this might just be my baggage and issues, but I didn't want to sit here and ask you a load of questions you've been asked by the mainstream media all the time.
You're doing a good job so far at not doing that.
That's good, thank you. So yeah, tell us about Daisie and your social media commercial enterprises and what you do in that.
So it started out, my friend Dom, he came to me and he said there's a huge issue with the way that people enter into the acting industry. And I could see it because
What is that issue?
Do you want to wait for that?
Sorry.
Oh, we can. I can keep going. There's no like route in, and it's just very hard to be discovered. And the route in is just like a very fickle one. And unless you have like an amazing opportunity, the way that I did, and you get slingshot to the top, or you know one person with and get your foot in the door, and then you work and you know, annoy enough people so as you get remembered for the next person. And, you know, it just, we thought it needed to be a better system. But it's the system that we got. So we were like, how do we do this? Like, what do we do? And then we thought, oh, why don't we make like a LinkedIn for creative people, like for the arts?
Yeah. I like the way you did that when you...
The arts.
Yeah, you've done that.
But then we sort of ran into the issue of creative people don't want to have to like market themselves and like this is what I've done. Well, I think that's debatable. I think that you know your career can come as a byproduct of the work that you're already creating. You don't have to say I'm the best person for that job, but you can show what you've done and let people make their mind up about you as an artist and let that speak for what you do.
Do you think that's, and forgive me for challenging you, but
no.
you started it, so do you think that some people might think, well, that's okay for Maisie to say? But there are a lot of really good artists and creatives out there that are good and aren't getting seen.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
How do they get seen?
By using Daisie.
Oh, there you
go. No. We basically wanted to create somewhere which was solely for artists. And I mean, I'll go back a little bit because at the beginning it was just for, you know, the film industry. And then upon speaking to more people, you realize how blurred the lines are between these industries. So we launched in film, fashion, music, photography, art, and literature because they all inspire one another. Because I started as a dancer, that's how I you know, began my journey into being a performer, and then I realized that acting is actually what I want to be doing. And I think, you know, people aren't even given the option to try different things out before they have to decide on their career, and then, you know, either they get an opportunity or they don't, and they have to give up their dreams, etc. So I think, you know, having a place where people can collaborate with one another on a much simpler level than like making huge, big Hollywood movies, or, you know, recording a song for like Universal a song music company? I don't know. Yeah.
A big label. Yeah.
Big label, right, yeah. So it's a place where we can just strip it right back, and you can collaborate with people who are much more on the level that you are, where you're all just trying to figure it out and you want to, you know, create opportunities for yourself, and people can't even look at a portfolio that you have because no one's given you the opportunity to get a credit yet. So if you can work with one another and create your own pieces of art within Daisie and use the community to help propel you further as an artist, without having to wait around for someone in like a gilded gate to give you an opportunity to say, okay, you're good enough to come and be on this movie now.
Yeah.
Or, you know, to have your own show at Fashion Week. For people to be able to work with one another, you know, the same way that people are connecting with people all around the world because of the beauty of social media.
Yeah.
We wanted to take the generation that is like most well connected and be able to give them a tool which would help them with a career within the creative arts.
Yeah.
Something that's just never existed before. And, you know, even as an actor, there's There's a database called Spotlight, which basically looks like a website for missing children, because it's like a little picture and then your height and your eye color and your hair color. And that's like, you know, it used to be like a directory, and now they have like an online database, and like everyone's desperate to get on Spotlight, but you can't judge talent that way. And it, you know, no one's any better off at finding the next new hot, exciting thing, and that's all anyone wants to do. So if we can sort of create something which just works far better, and people want to use because they want to use it, and you give that power back to the creator rather than, you know, having it micromanaged by people who, you know, can judge talent. I just think that that's far more exciting, and just the way that the world is going anyway.
Yeah. And do you have any plans beyond just getting creative people to be able to collaborate and get their work out to the world? Is it designed to connect the powers that be with them, or?
So at the moment, V1 is just an app on the iPhone, and V1 was about establishing the community. So people do that through their phones, people connect through their phones, so that's why we launched the app. And then moving forward in the future of Daisie, V2 becomes far more about the collaboration. So we have this like sort of idea for like a GitHub for creatives. I'm not sure if you're familiar with GitHub.
No.
So GitHub is it's a place where people can share and edit each other's code. And so many people get jobs through that because they're
must have run
discovered
out
through
of domain names if they've called it GitHub.
Possibly. I think there's something called Git as well, and then there's something called GitHub.
Right.
And they work sort of simultaneously.
Yeah.
So, but you can you know, write a piece of code and then you can fork it, and someone could say like, well, add a little piece to it, and then you can either merge it with what you're already doing, or you can, you know, decline and then, you know, someone else can create their own little web, but you can continue on the path that you're already doing.
Yeah.
So we wanted to take that idea and put it into like, so say creating a film, you know, you have a concept, you have an idea, you're a writer, you have this idea, and this artist goes, hey, this character's really interesting. I've just drawn this little picture of what I think that they would look like. And they go, wow, this is really great. And then a musician comes in and goes, actually, I'd love them to be like the character that I'll use for my music video, because I've just recorded this song and like I'm trying to get it out there and trying to, you know, create a bigger like style for the song. So, you know, let's make this into, and then you find an animator and they come on and say, well, I can animate this for you, like what do you want the story to be? And then the writer comes back. And so using one another and using creative people that aren't necessarily you know, when you're just starting out, you're expected to like be able to market yourself and everything else. But if you can use the people around you to propel what you're already doing further, and then someone else then has this beautiful video that they've animated, and you know, you can help you as well as help them further in their career. And I just think to be able to connect those people and introduce people to other artists that they may not otherwise be able to meet can really help with your career.
And have you planned beyond that, the commercial side of it? Is it going to be a philanthropic venture, or is it going to be a commercial venture?
I mean, it's something that we're in discussion with at the moment. There is no monetary plan, because we didn't even realize we were going to be doing this until we were, you know. It wasn't something that, like, we went out to raise money in San Francisco, and lots of the people were like, so how many startups are you making? And I was like, I only just realized that I'm making a startup now. Like, it was just an idea that we thought we could maybe have an answer to, and then it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling, and now we're here and Daisie is launched. So I think that it's just been surprising the whole time. So the future for Daisie is bright, but not necessarily set in stone.
And what lured you to go to Silicon Valley to try and raise money? Or was it to try and raise money, or did you just want to go and have a look?
Yeah, well, so we were meeting with venture capitalists here in London as well, but because we don't have like a monetization plan, it's quite scary for people to invest in, particularly in the UK as well. They want to see your like plan for how you're going to make money, and it's not something that we want to roll out in the near future anyway. So that's why when you go to Silicon Valley, they understand that a lot more. and you still see it as like being an investment opportunity, even if you don't necessarily aren't making any money. Like I think Twitter only recently started going back on the incline. It's just the way it goes, I think. So that's why we went.
So I tell you what I find really interesting. I think that when people start an app, a tech business, whatever, I almost feel like they assume they need to go to VCs, investors to raise money. Why didn't you think, well, I'll just self-fund it and then I don't have to give away any of the profits and I can do what I want with it and I'm not beholden to anyone?
Yeah, so...
Or did you think that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we did for a while. We did our... I forget what all of the different rounds are called, but you basically do one where you self-fund it. Me and my partner Dom, we went 50-50 in on it, and we started the company, and then we raised money within friends and family, and you give away little pieces of the company. Myself and Dom, we wanted to be 50-50 in this forever. It makes for a much more healthy work relationship. So yeah, I could have just gone and funded this second round myself if I wanted to, and I was asked that as well, but it's just something that we don't want to do.
Right.
But also what comes with people investing in you, they own part of your company, but they also want success for you, so they can help you and they can connect you with people that have done it before. So people that have invested in us, they have so many contacts. Like we're currently growing the team, and if we hadn't had the investors that we do have, we wouldn't be able to get the attention of these incredible engineers and designers and developers that we want to come and work on Daisie, because we wouldn't be, we wouldn't have a connection with them. So there's a lot of other things that come with it rather than just money. It's not just about that.
So
the amount of support and the amount that we've learned from these people and the amount that they've really just sort of pushed us further has been far more valuable than the money. And it's the advice, that you also get.
Yeah, because not all money is the same value. People assume money is the same value, a pound is a pound. But if a pound comes from someone with an agenda, or a pound comes from someone with experience and contacts, no 2 pounds are the same.
Yeah, exactly. And the money goes to the company. It's not like we're raising money to pay ourselves. The money goes all to the company, and we need to know how to use that wisely and push the company further. And what better than to talk to people who have done it a million times before? Well, million times. They wouldn't need to be a VC anymore.
No. And they're doing about 950. So have you enjoyed this new commercial world of building businesses and learning what comes with that?
Yeah, I have. It's very different, and I'm learning so much. And it's been really strange. Like, you'd think having like a celebrity endorsement actually is like great and everyone's really excited about it, but the track record sort of shows that just because it's celebrity endorsed, it doesn't actually mean that it does well. And that's what everyone kept saying to me. And they were like, it's really great that you're in this show, but what makes you think that you can make a startup? Which is fair enough, and it's true. And I think that, I've just had to listen to those people and really just knuckle in and learn more about what I
really want to get rid of that wasp on your head, but I don't want to hit you in the face.
Don't hit me in the face. It's okay, he's gone.
It's a great idea was this to do it outside.
I've
lost
so
about
hot.
14 stones since sitting here. So hot.
But I think, someone said to me, like, it's quite good to have a chip on your shoulder, and I do a little bit, because I'm like, I'm going to prove these people wrong, that just because I'm a stupid actor doesn't mean that I can't do this. And it's something that I'm passionate about, and it's something that I'm willing to work at. So, I got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder from working in this world, but it's exciting, and I'm just thrilled to have 9 to 5.
Yeah, great. Sounds fun. And you sound like you're enjoying being part of a team, because I think a lot of people when they start a business, they have this, maybe not you, but certainly a lot of people, they have this vision of freedom and autonomy. I can do what I want. I don't have a boss. I don't have anything to answer to. And I often tell them, if you lose all that, well, you've got nothing. You've got no accountability. You've got nothing to get up in the morning for, and that can be a bit hard for people.
Yeah, the motivation.
And you sound like you get a bit of buzz working with the team.
I absolutely love the team, and it's been so exciting growing it as well, and really sitting down and thinking who's going to work with us and who's going to work within the office, and we don't want to lose. There's been like 6 of us up until this point. Like, we don't want to lose that sense of like real family, because it's kind of what's made Daisie what it is now. And so I just love it. I mean, I've always been a very social person, and I've always been very good like within a team. So to be able to have a group of people that are all like really excited about the same thing and all want success for the company that you've started. It's all you could ever really ask for. People that want it to succeed. Yeah. It's just a very healthy environment. Because there are times when I wake up in the morning and I just think, what am I doing? This is insane. Like this is the potential to be so huge, and I'm an actor. Yeah. But in those moments, it's amazing to have a team of people that are all going, no, we're going to do this, and there's a gap for what we're trying to achieve, and just because it's hard doesn't mean that you should stop and quit and give up. So, yeah, it's just lovely.
And do you ever think about the time opportunity cost? So like you said, you're an actor, you could be doing a lot of acting, you could be doing some big stuff, but you've got this little baby that needs your attention.
Yeah, well, it really helps with what I was saying earlier about taking time out. You don't want to take time out and do absolutely nothing, because that also drives you insane and you feel like you don't have a purpose in the world and you can't get up in the morning and So I think having Daisie is, in those moments when I'm not acting and being able to just have a regular life and walk here, go to the office, and then walk home and take my dog for a walk, and I think that slots in very nicely with what I'm sort of looking for within the year, the balance that I want. So to take time off but still be doing Daisie, I think is important.
Yeah, cool. And once you got your head round what Game of Thrones meant, once you kind of finally figured how big it was and what it meant for your life, did you have any kind of vision of where you wanted your career to go? And let me just set this question up a little bit while you have your water. Could we get another bottle? Is that all right? Yeah. I'm lucky enough, I know a lot of successful people, a lot of people in the sort of celebrity limelight, and I see some people who will just take every opportunity, go and do everything, every gig, every endorsement, whatever else. And I can partly understand that, because maybe when they're 30 or 40, they may not be able to do this anymore. They may not have 100 years of success. Right. So I can sometimes understand, if you get your moment, you drill down, you take every opportunity. And then it sounds like you're being more planned, more strategic, you're not rushing in, you're not taking everything that you can take. So did you have a conscious, this is how I'm going to play the game now, where I'm going to take my career? Or did you just, like a wave, let it take you where it took you?
I don't think that sorry.
Oh, thank you.
I don't think that there is a formula to do it right, of how to handle your career. For me, I've been given advice to never stop because I'll forget about you, and I've also been given advice take your time, because you can't just keep doing job after job and do them well, because you'll end up just, people need months and months of rehearsal and practice and preparation before they can, play a role. So I've been given all sorts of advice, and I think, I don't think either way of doing it is right or wrong. I just think, when I was younger, it was very exciting, and I thought I'm never going to stop. This is where my happiness is, and I don't want to ever do anything else. And then I just, changed. And maybe I'll change again. Who knows, in 5 years' time, I might not want to act at all ever again, and I'll just do Daisie, or the other way around. I can't see that happening. But I think that just at the moment, now that I'm not contracted into a show for 6 years, and I, am just signing contracts again and figuring out, what I want to be tied into, I just think taking some space from that is, what I want. And I don't think I'll ever stop, and I feel like there'll be dry spells within the acting world. I think they'll come quite naturally, and I think that's why people do go into these different gear shifts of their life, because that's the way the industry sort of pushes them and pulls them. But at the moment, when things could be really busy, it's not like I'm stopping at all. I've still got 2 movies that I've shot a few years ago that haven't come out yet. So the cycle of working, airing, and then also promoting, you can be doing all 3 at once, while you're promoting something, you're shooting something else, and then got something on the back burner that's coming out in 2 months, and it can work like that without you actually having to be solidly working. So I feel like I just babbled for ages.
No, you didn't. I get you. It's making a lot of sense.
But I think that just taking the space doesn't like doing less doesn't necessarily mean that I won't be out there as much, because that's sort of just the way that the industry is, and I think you just got to be good at timing. Yeah.
Forgive me if I get this wrong, but
No.
Didn't you know in advance how many series of Game of Thrones there was going to be?
Yeah, so...
Do you think that helped you
sort
plan beyond? Because sometimes I guess people are doing a show and they don't really know when they're going to be out, and then they're kind of out.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, I signed a 6-year contract when I was 12, so I knew it was going to be 6 seasons.
Does that not even like make you... That is surreal, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know, like at the beginning I would have paid them for me to be in it. Like I was so excited, and it was... So I never regretted it. But people sort of go like, so would you sign another 6-year contract? And I'm like, well, no, I don't think I would, not yet, not right now. So I just think, and then it ended up being like 8 years, and that was fine because I wanted to finish sort of telling the story. But I think like having come out of that, and I'm so different to the girl that I was when I was 12. It was the biggest change ever. Yeah. I just think like I don't know who I'm going to be like in the next 6 years, and like right now I'd rather be able to make every decision as it comes rather than be sort of like stuck in something. Yeah. Not that it was horrible, and not that I regret it, and not that I didn't enjoy myself, and I would do it again if I was in that position when I was that age. But just moving forwards, just have a bit of space for a while. Yeah.
Well, you said before we... Don't you know what we're doing here? You said before we started about your mum turning 60, and therefore, talking about she's got time. We've all got more time than we think. You were giving me advice before my 40th birthday. That really seems to come across from you, like you're not in a rush. When I was 21, I didn't want to say when I was 21. I said to myself when I got all the way on the train, I will not say when I was 21, and I just did, but I'm going to say it anyway. So when I was 21, I was in such a rush for everything. Everything was a panic, it was a rush. And you seem like the opposite. You seem very wise. You seem like you're not in a rush.
But I don't think it's always been like that. I think this is actually quite like since the show's ended, like I've really tried to not do that, because I did that already.
Yeah, maybe you're like 50 in normal years because of what you went through in the show.
Because I was running at 1,000,000 miles an hour mentally. Like it's not, that doesn't come easy to me. Like I'm really trying to consciously be like that, because I tried moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it just was really stressful when I blinked and 6 years had passed, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna not do that anymore, and I'm gonna take time. And also like my nephew, he's 2, he's nearly 3, and like he's not my kid, but like when you see like 3 years ago where I was sort of mentally, and then I see how much he's grown up in 3 years, like, and how much of that time I missed, it really, it's like marking your height on the wall. Like I can see it, I can see what 3 years does. And I just don't want to do that. And my niece has just been born, and I just think like I want to be with my family, and I want to be with my sister, and that's what is really important. And those are the things that you can't go back and do again. So I just, I don't think it comes like easily to be that way. It's just something that I'm trying out. Maybe I'll hate it. Maybe in 6 months I'll go, I'm going to go back and be the other way. But I'm just, I'm trying it out. And I think that the moment it's been really nice to just like stop and breathe and really take life in and be like, okay.
Yeah, that's cool. So when you were talking about you do movies that you did 2-3 years ago, and then you got to wait and they're not out, and then the cycle of promotion, that's a really alien concept to me. Yeah. So I've written a few books, and if my publisher
written a few books.
Yeah, did I sound like a dick when I said
no,
that? No, I didn't mean to.
No, like they're amazing books.
Thank you. No,
I've written a couple of books. Yeah.
I've written 14. There you go. I won't. And like when it goes to the publishers, I'm like, right, so let's get it out next week because I've done it, I'm ready, I'm in the moment, come on, I'm excited about it. I feel like 6-9 months I'll be on to something else in my life. Is that a weird thing to like films you did years ago coming out?
Yeah, absolutely, because also there's such a like trend of what's good, and I read this story and I shot this film. I read this story maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, shot this film last year, 2 years ago, I don't know, and it's kind of coming out soon. And since then and now, like the themes of the story, like the themes of the story, like there's been 1 million movies that have come out like it. So, and you can't help it. It's just the way that it sort of goes. But yeah, like that sort of thing is kind of frustrating sometimes.
That's why I love having my own business. Because if I want to market something tomorrow,
you can do that.
Bosh!
Yeah,
you
get
can
it out.
move that, because like you said, timing and trends, they don't stay forever.
Exactly, yeah. And I've just sort of got into producing movies as well, and like even little things, like you read an article and you think, God, like that would be a really great film. And then literally 2 months later, it's like on Deadline and they're like, so-and-so is making a movie about this guy. You're like, oh, right, yeah, someone picked it up and really like ran with it very fast. So I think it just does move quickly like that. And you know, the process of making a movie isn't that fast. So it is difficult. But I mean, there's nothing that it doesn't keep me up at night. It's not my problem.
No, you're not that bothered about
I'm
it.
having fun making the film, and you know, I still, just because there's been other movies made like it, I still love the film for the same reasons that I did when I started making it, and so I can still promote it. It's just other people that go like, oh, they're just making another one of those types of films, and it's just, you can't let that get to you, I don't think.
So, if I'm reading this right, you're able to disassociate what you did with what it means to who you are as a person.
Yeah.
I.e., you're not better a person or worse a person if that film that you did 3 years ago succeeds or not. You're still you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's important, isn't it? To be able to
Yeah,
do that?
completely. And like, I think like your career, it's got to be about having fun. Like, there's films that I've done that I've just had a really wonderful time doing, and because it is such a crazy life, like I want to look back and just remember all of the really fun things that I did, and like, you know, there is tactical decisions that you make as an actor, but I think you can't let it all be about that, because I think it would just be miserable.
When you say tactical decisions, what do you mean? Strategic
well,
roles?
yeah, like trying to play films that are going to do really well, and like it's such.
There must be a lot of.
I've made beautiful movies that just they didn't get picked up, or they didn't get, you know, and it's a shame. So, and you never really know what's going to happen. Like, people make movies like, so I just watched this movie called The Miseducation of Cameron Post. I think it's going to do incredibly, but they made that movie for like $1 million, which is like nothing. And they did it because they all wanted to be there and they all loved it. And I can imagine that shoot being really, really stressful.
Yeah.
But like, then you've got this incredible film, and you just never know which way movies are going to go like that. So you can't spend your time trying to just make the right decision. You've got to do things because you enjoy them, and then if they do amazingly, then it's just beautiful, and it's like the cherry on top. And if they don't, then it doesn't matter because you had a great time doing it.
Yeah.
I just think that is the way I try to make decisions anyway. Will I have fun? Yes. No.
Yeah, well, that's a good measure, because then there'll be no regret, will there?
Yeah.
If you're trying to time what the best film is, there'll be regret if it's not the best film.
Exactly.
Which I guess a lot of them aren't.
Yeah, and lots of things don't get seen. Millions of movies are made all the time, and they don't get watched, and no one sees them, and they don't get good distribution, and you know, it's a shame, and that's the way it sort of goes. And I think that if you're making decisions for a much deeper reason than just because if they're going to do well, then you won't be disappointed.
Yeah. Cool. So
I feel like I am going to get a little sunburn.
You're going to have a one-sided tan.
I'm a vampire. My friends, I went home and I saw all my friends from back home in Bristol, and they were like, have you been enjoying the sun because you're so pale? I'm scared of it. It's terrifying.
Maybe we should swap, and then we'll get we won't both have a one-sided tan.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because I'm getting it on this side.
You're getting
of the
on
face.
that side.
Yeah.
I'm going to cover it.
Yeah.
Put my curtain across.
Cool. So I've got a couple of questions about just your sort of life before
Yeah, great.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So I know you're well into dance, you know, but a lot of people who listen to this podcast don't know that was your thing. Mm-hmm. Is that still your passion, your hobby, dancing? You still love it?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been taking a couple of classes recently, like more sort of like yoga-y type things, but like movement nonetheless. And I've been really, really enjoying getting back in touch with like that physicality and getting flexible again, because I used to be so flexible and then I just stopped because if I couldn't dance and I didn't want to do anything, and I was a bit of I threw a bit of a tantrum about it, like internally. So now I'm like just, you know, within moderation.
Can I just jump in there?
Yeah.
Sorry. Isn't it interesting how you'll take a film and just have fun, but you won't dance for fun unless you're perfect at it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually really, really true. And I need to like just not do that because it's stupid. Yeah. But yeah, like, so I really just tried to get back into it again, and now having more free time, it's really, really nice doing that. And Ruben, who you've been talking to, we both do a lot of yoga, so we're like, we'll do it together. We'll get up in the morning, we'll go to yoga, and then we'll go to the office.
Yeah.
So
it definitely helps
nice.
having a buddy in anything like
that.
that.
God, yeah.
Gym, training.
Yeah, I'm like telling my flatmate, I'm like, you want to come to yoga with me? He's like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
damn it. So it is good to have someone who like does that with you.
Yeah, cool. So that's what you wanted to do, I guess, when you were young, and then you landed this whopping great role. So talk us through how you landed it.
So I really loved dancing, and I went to a local dance school called Susan Hill School of Dancing in Arya Stark, and I used to take so many different classes. I did ballet, tap, street, modern, and musical theatre, and everything. And then I started going to these like auditions for stage schools to like go and like train. And I also did an audition for like a talent show where you could meet like agents and like representatives who could like make you a star. Yeah. So I went to the audition, which was just in Bath, near where I grew up, and I got into the talent show, but it was in France, and like we didn't have a lot of money, and I'm like one of 4 kids. My mum was like a single mum for a long time. But my grandparents paid for me to go, and because they did, my mum was like, right, it's a week out of school, your grandparents paid for you to go, like let's make the most of it, we'll enter into everything. So I did singing, dancing, modelling, acting. I like entered into it all, and I did like adverts as well, and you basically went and you did all of these classes, and like they sort of trained you, and at the end of the week you do a big talent show, and then you like show yourself off in front of all of these VIPs, and like they'd all like make you a star. And I think I'm the only person that really got a job out of it, to be honest with you. It wasn't very well organised, and it was kind of a bit higgledy-piggledy. And I went to this acting seminar. I did improvisation, which is non-scripted work, and I had the best time, and I loved it, and I really enjoyed it. And I met this woman called Louise, and she said, like, if at the end of this week no one has signed you to an agency for acting, I've started an agency, and I'd like you to come and be part of it. But if someone else offers you, then go with them, because mine's only small. But at the end of the week, of course, no one had signed me, and she said, right, okay, well, I'm going to sign you, and you're going to, come and do some auditions. And I didn't really know what that meant, and I didn't really want to do it because I wanted to be a dancer, and this was my dream. And she said, well, we'll just do it on the side, if it's something comes up, we'll go to an audition, and you can still be a dancer. And so we did, and then my second audition was for Game of Thrones, and then I got the part. And
how do you feel telling that story?
Every time I tell it, I think it is just crazy. Yeah. Like, it's just crazy how all this happened. And and then all of a sudden I was on set, and I was at the pilot episode, and I'd learnt my lines, and I was on set with Kit Harington, and I just had the best time. And then I got picked up to the 4th series, and I fell in love with Arya, and fell in love with this story that I had to tell, and it just sort of grew. And then season 3 came around, and that's when I realised that, oh, this is my life now. So it was like the stars really aligned for me.
That is, for me, is the coolest story ever. And I just think people should always keep the dream alive that could happen for them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because you went for a week, and you got a bit of help from your grandparents and your mum, but you went and you tried everything. You just gave it a go. So it's not all luck.
No, my mum, this is the thing, my mum was she saw a good opportunity for me, and she knew that I had something, and she has only ever provided me with more opportunities to just run for my dreams, and it's all I can ever ask for. And I'm so lucky to have a parent who is so supportive, because so many people don't. And so many people, that is their point of call for is this a right decision or a bad decision? And I think my mum has only ever been so supportive that I've only ever felt like the sky is the limit, because of her. And I'm so grateful for that. And I think, had I not had that, I don't think I would be as ambitious as I am. Yeah. And it is such a shame. And so I think, it's okay to have these crazy dreams, because they're not crazy, and it does happen, and your life does change. And I think, I
mean, I think with your mum, certainly my parents were the same. Our parents didn't let us believe that there were limits or restrictions. So, they never pushed us down. They always made us believe. And there are a lot of people whose parents have done the opposite and pushed them down.
And it's not even purposefully, I don't think. I think sometimes people just worry. Yeah. And that's completely fine as well. And I don't have all the answers for all of these things, but that was detrimental to the success that I have now.
And I think the point I'd like to make on that, even if people watching, listening, have had parents, authority, impressionable people in their life that sort of made them believe they can't, you still can believe you can, listening to people like you. Man, I got a little goosey bumps hearing you say that
Good.
story. Because,
Good.
you know, like, that's the human story. That's something that everybody could hold true in their life, could happen to them one day. If they have fun,
Yeah.
if they play full out, if they take the opportunities that are there.
Yeah, and I think, like, because I am so young and I am, you know,
Don't
particularly
rub it in.
I didn't mean to, because I'm so young, it's really hard for me. But I think it's very easy for people to say, well, it's easy for you to say because you've got all this success, but like I think a lot of people don't know the full story of that, and it's like, well, I am from a world where this is crazy that I have this success, so I think I'm the prime example of that. Like, it happened to me, you know?
So it can happen to anyone.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean that I was any better or more talented than anyone. I was in the right place at the right time, and all of these things
You've
like
got to
worked
put
out for
yourself
me.
in that place, haven't you?
You do. You have to really put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, it's just like, I still am kind of baffled by everything. Oh, the sun's
That's
gone in.
nice, isn't it? It's like nice. You've got to change all your lighting now.
Yeah.
Like we've got a load of lighting. Yeah. But I'll tell you what else is interesting. Like I used to, like, mid-20s, starting a business, got to have a clear vision, got to have an end goal, got to have an outcome. That's what they all teach you. That's what the entrepreneurs say. Got to be focused, and it's useful advice. But like sometimes something comes into your life which you hadn't planned for, but it's better than your plan.
Yeah.
And you wanted to dance, and you took something that seemed to be. So it's okay also to dance with the unknown and take opportunities that are maybe.
Yeah, it's like a hard work coupled with like a lot of risk taking. Like, it's just like, you know, I left school and I've been slated for that. And I've had a really hard time for that because I left school when I was 15. I don't have any qualifications. Like, and it was hard for my mum and it's hard for me. And,
Who wouldn't leave school to go on Game of Thrones?
People say that, but
Yeah.
people wouldn't. Like, parents would take their kids out. You know, it happens. And you know, my mum was supportive enough to be like, no, this is what we're gonna do. And I think, you know, she took a risk and it worked.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I'm not saying everyone like jump out of school and don't go, like that's not the advice at all, but I think sometimes you're presented with an opportunity that's just too good to turn down, and people do live their lives thinking, damn it, like what if I had done that?
Yeah.
And I've been lucky enough that so far I've taken risks and they've worked out. And I think, you know, as much as you should be driven and you should work hard and you should have a plan. I think there are times when the world just like throws that off course, and you can either go, yeah, that's what I should be doing, or you can go, no, I'm going to stick on this plan. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's any easy way of making that decision, but it is just the way it goes.
Yeah. And on that note, I think you said something along the lines of you learn more doing Game of Thrones than you could have learned in any classroom. Is that right?
Yeah, I have said that.
What are those things you learned?
Like how to, I don't know, it might sound like simple, but like just like how to be social, like how to be like a member of society. Like I grew up a lot quicker than I would have. And like, you know, I was working at age 12, like I was in a working environment, and although, you know, I was doing child hours and, you know, I was protected, I think like coming out of a classroom where you have to ask to go to the bathroom and like going into like the adult world, and yeah, like it just is lessons that you can't learn in the classroom, and the people that I've met and the stories that I've heard and the lessons that I've learned through other humans rather than, you know, the typical lesson of like what's cosine, you know. I think it's just been so detrimental in like shaping the girl that I am, and I'm so grateful for that, because I think you leave school and you do have a moment of like, what is the world?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I was lucky enough to experience so much of that before, you know, the time, and yeah, it's just been amazing, really.
So you didn't feel like you missed any of your childhood, like some people who are successful young look back and think they missed some of it?
I do, but I don't think that it was a bad thing. I missed a lot of things, and it was, you know, there's things that I don't like about that, having, you know, missed out on, but the things that I was doing instead, it's just who I am now. It's just shaped me to be a different person, and I don't know that one of them is better than the other. It's just the way that it was. I used to get FOMO all the time. I used to always just be like, oh, I just want to go to my friend's birthday party and, have a crush on this boy at school.
And a lot of them were looking at you going, I just wish I was an
Of
actress.
course, it's just like the grass is always greener, I guess, in that sense. But like I don't, I'm not furious at the world because I wasn't allowed to be a child. It wasn't bad. I had a great time. It's just I am a different person to the girl that I would have been.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I could stay here all day, but your coffee is nearly empty. And
I know. People are always like, whenever I have like a coffee when I'm doing an interview, people are like, how is that coffee still hot? And I like cold coffee, okay? It's what I enjoy.
I'm not judging you. No judgment. I'm a big coffee diva, so...
you wouldn't be drinking there.
No.
Tastes like gravy.
Yeah. As we discussed earlier, that will be something I will ponder for the rest of my life. So we've got a few quick fires.
Okay, great.
Now, you can answer them as long as you like, but you can also answer them really quick. Oh, one of your hairs is on my
Sorry.
iPad. That's all right.
Shedding.
Yeah. The wife is not that hair colour, so we will get rid of that. Okay, cool. So I've got 3 questions from our community and then some quick fires.
Great.
Answer them how you want or don't or do or whatever.
Okay.
So do you manage your money, investments, and do you plan for retirement?
I do with my mum, but then also like professional advisors, but it's usually just me and my mum going, what should we do? Where should we go next?
Yeah. Cool. There is a good book on that called Money. It's a really good book.
I'll have a look.
Yeah. I can't believe I pitched my book. All right, cool. Business lessons you've learned from Game of Thrones. Anything that sort of you carried over to Daisy?
Yeah, like have fun, enjoy your money, but like be smart about it because it's not going to hang around forever. Particularly in the world of being an actor, it's very fun to like go out and party and get private jets, but like it's not important.
No, like, that money will go down very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Like so, I think just like I don't know if that's really coming to Daisy at all. Like I don't make money from Daisy yet, but like I guess like Daisy has been an investment in itself, where it's like where do I want to spend my time and my money. Not on stupid clothes. Yeah. Cool. All right then.
The commercial side of Game of Thrones, dealing with agents, media, showrunners, production companies, blah, blah, blah. What's that like?
It's difficult unless you have the right team. And I'm so sick of talking to my actor friends that are like, oh, my agent's making me do this, or my publicist. And I'm like, just get rid of them. Bin them. There's no need.
Or can't you just say, no, I'm not doing it?
Well, if you should be able to. Like, it's people are working for you at the end of the day, and although it's a team effort and they are your team, if you don't get on with people... I have an agent,
and all of the Game of Thrones actors and actresses wanted to do this podcast, but I said no to them all.
You're like,
so that we could get you.
Not.
Yeah. But that is true. Just because you have an agent, which I do, doesn't mean you have to say yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think, like, at the end of the day, they work for you, and if you've got to do what makes you comfortable, and no one should be able to tell you. You're the one that's doing it. You're the one that's doing these interviews. And if you feel uncomfortable, no one should be making you do that. Yeah. It's not your job. You're an actor. You don't have to be, a face of the world.
Sure. Yeah. Cool. Best advice you've ever received?
Best advice you've ever received? Well...
Or good advice.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure, isn't it? The best advice.
I had some really good advice, which was handling like the online world. Like I don't struggle with it anymore, but I used to like be very opinionated and not really be able to word myself, speak very well, or I still can't. But I never came across very well in print because I would, just say things that didn't sound right. So I had this advice, which was like, if you respect someone, then listen to their opinion on you, and if you don't respect them, then don't listen to their opinion on you. So that really helped with sort of online trolls, because it was like all these people would end up really getting me down. I thought, actually, I don't know that person. I don't respect them.
A lot of that, not because of you, but because of who you are.
Because I'm awful.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, it is. It's just hard. It's really hard. It is a minefield, and it is difficult, and it's very easy to say the wrong thing, and people are always going to be upset with things that you've said. So
I always celebrate. Sorry to jump in.
No, please
do.
But
like people who are in my communities, once they get their first troll, critic, or hater, I always tell them to celebrate. Because what they think
people care.
Yeah, people care. They care about them. They're good marketing for them. But also, like that's
successfully managed to wind someone up. It's great.
It's fun, isn't it? Yeah. If you want to be bigger, it's going to be more. So it's just practice.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just that advice of like, because you can be in a storm of something, a Twitter storm. But when it starts to like really affect you internally, like that's bad. Like that's not important. So just being able to deal with all of that better has really made me a happier person.
How have you dealt with it better?
I don't listen to people that I don't respect.
Right. So if you don't respect them, you just Yeah.
Just like their opinion.
You didn't just say like me, did you?
I did. It was very quiet.
I missed it.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right.
I'm kidding. But yeah, and then it just makes it a lot easier to, because then when you are actually not being a nice person and someone you respect goes, "What are you doing?" You go, "Oh God, yeah, what am I doing?" And it's really easy to then like differentiate between when you're actually not saying things right and when people are just being sensitive.
Yeah. And I think also, if you think, how will I feel about what I said in a week? Because we all say the stuff in the heat of the emotions, the email we can't get back, flipping out at someone that we can't take back.
Yeah.
But if you feel good about it in a week, say it, do it.
Yeah.
If you don't feel good about it in a week,
very, very true.
don't say it.
Yeah, makes it a lot easier. It's another piece of advice. Next time I'm asked that question, I'll say that.
Yeah, make sure you quote me. Rob says. All right, cool. What's the worst advice you've ever received? I've had some great answers to this one, so it's a shit question, but it gets good answers.
What's the worst advice I've ever received? Come out with me tonight, it'd be great fun. Yeah. It's never that fun.
No, all right. Cool. What's that? No, it's good. Someone said, I don't know because I don't listen to bad advice. I thought that was quite a good one as well.
That was a good one.
What is wrong with the world, you feel is wrong with the world you'd like to change?
Oh my God, there's so much.
So yeah, well, give us two
at the
or three.
moment, I'm really, really, particularly because we've been in this heat wave, everyone's like, how nice has this weather been? Which makes me really sad because the world is literally burning in front of us and people still don't care.
Yeah.
So I guess what is wrong, if I was going to really pinpoint what is wrong with the world, is that none of us are...
It's a 30 mile an hour, that one. Yeah.
None of us are using our words and like communicating with like the opposite side of, you know, how we can change the state of our environment. It's just a shouting match between people who believe in global warming and people who don't. There needs to be a better way of working together.
Yeah.
Specifically targeted to the state of the environment. It's really quite sad.
Yeah.
Actually gets me so down. Like it is something that keeps me awake at night.
Yeah. Well, it should.
Hate it.
I think what generally I've noticed tends to happen is people who get in a good position where they can leverage brand or influence, they can misuse that, or they often use that for good causes. So I follow a cricketer called Kevin Peterson who's really into stopping people killing rhinos. Leo DiCaprio is really into, and a lot of people with good influence are standing up and going, do you know what? It's easy for us to live our own life, one of 8 billion people, not thinking about the bigger picture, but maybe we should think about the bigger picture.
Yeah, it's so huge, and like it is something that's like I get overwhelmed by very easily because you do feel so helpless and you can just see the problem. Just think like, why we need to do something. Yeah. I guess I should just spend less time worrying about it and more time actually doing something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good advice for oneself. Yeah, you just reminded me, did you make an actual kill list?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. Like I had these 2 maths teachers at school, right? And I loved maths until I had these 2 teachers. And they were on it.
Yeah.
I don't actually want to kill anyone.
No.
I don't actually hate anyone. No, I don't think I do.
no politicians or no, like...
No. Because at the end of the day, like hating people and being angry at people, like it doesn't make them change their minds.
And
like you have to talk to people like they're human beings, even if their opinions are so far on the other end of the scale, because they're looking at you thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
We're only as fast as our slowest walker in this world. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't matter how much good you're doing if you're not working together. Then the problem is still there. Like you have to communicate with one another and like change people's mindsets.
And what a lot of people think communication actually is me trying to convince you that my opinion is right.
Yeah, it's not.
Who says it is?
It's like this compromise. It's like playground childishness of like, what's the problem? Well, they took my toy. Well, let's sit and talk about it and we'll apologise and we'll come to an agreement. You can have it 5 minutes and you can. So, I mean, I don't know if that I'd like, but that same sort of like notion of like people that have different opinions, I think that it's like something that we need to address rather than it just being a shouting match. I keep touching my mic, I apologise.
Oh, Dale. These guys are good at what they do. And also, these maths teachers, right? I think that they're your best friends Because if they'd have got you really into maths, you might have got into maths, and then you might not have got into Game of Thrones because you were so good at maths.
Yeah.
So actually, maybe they've been...
Maybe they were just doing me a huge favour.
Yeah. What advice would you give to young people or people who want to get ahead in the world?
Oh God, there's so much, I think. So recently, I was given this gift, and it was a necklace, and it said "loved" on it. And I think that was like something that was really important for me, and I think it can kind of relate to a lot of things in life, and like a lot of, I just think like to do with your mental health mainly, which is ultimately what's in jeopardy all the time when you're like a young person, because there's so much pressure to, you know, do well in life and to succeed, and, you know, and I think that like a lot of the time your mental health is like at risk. So just to remember that you are loved by the people around you, and you are supported, and no matter how hard things get within whatever it is you're doing in life, like I think to remember that is so important. Because it can just all get a bit much sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like that was really horrible advice, but I just think
great.
it's true.
No, brilliant. Maisie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Lovely
you.
to talk with you.
Yeah, you too.
The bigger we can grow this show for you, the bigger and better guests we can get. So make sure you do like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. And remember this, if you don't risk anything, you risk everything.